New York has hosted the US Open for more than 100 years. It has watched Serena say goodbye, seen Federer break down in tears, and crowned Sinner. But in the last week of August 2026, staff at Flushing Meadows admitted they had never once planned for this. An entire foreign country's population showing up just to watch one player who, 12 months earlier, was not even famous in her own country.
Hi everyone, it's Alex here. I just got off my match in Grandstand, and I just want to thank you all so much for the support. The energy out there was electric, and you guys made it so special, especially coming back after being in a difficult situation in the third. So you made my first main draw win in the Grand Slam so special, and I hope to see you in my second round.
Country. She is 21 years old, 5'9", and somehow, quietly, she has become the most successful tennis player the Philippines has ever produced, man or woman, in over a century of the sport being played there. Her name is Alex Eala, and this is the story of how one player from a country with almost no tennis infrastructure is now driving ticket sales, rewriting the record book.
The US Open. Are you in the mood for creating more history this year?
I'm always in the mood for more history. I mean, this was for me.
Well played. Enjoy the moment. For the first time ever, we'll see you in the Grand Slam second round match. Give it up for...
And forcing one of the biggest tournaments on the planet to admit it simply was not ready for her. At the start of 2025, Alex Eala sat at number 130 in the world. Respectable. The kind of ranking that gets you into qualifying draws and not much more. Fast forward 20 months to August 24th, 2026, the day before the US Open draw, and she had climbed to a career high of world number 18. That is the highest ranking any Filipino or any Southeast Asian player, man or woman, has ever reached in WTA history. Once you list what that ranking actually represents, it becomes almost absurd. She is the...
Quite possibly you are the most popular Filipino in the world, am I right, folks? Talk to us about what it's like playing in this kind of atmosphere, because it feels pretty special.
It's so special, you know, they make me more and more special. You know, to be Filipino is something I take so much pride in. And you know, I don't have a home tournament, so to be able to have this community here at the US Open, like, I'm so grateful that they made me feel like I'm home. Yeah.
First Filipino to crack the world's top 20, the first to beat a top 10 opponent, the first to reach the fourth round of a Grand Slam, the first to make a WTA 1000 semifinal, and the first, and so far only, Filipino to win a WTA Tour singles title, which she did this month in Washington, D.C. How deep was the drought she ended? You would have to go back to 1988 to find the last time Philippine tennis mattered on a global stage, when the National Davis Cup team briefly...
A family with deep roots in Philippine sports and the resources to develop a child's talent at the highest level. Alex started playing at age 4 at Valle Verde Country Club in Pasig City. Her grandfather, Roberto Maniego, was her first tennis coach. He put her on the court, gave her balls, and he showed up to every practice. By 12, it was clear that she had outgrown everything the Philippines could offer her. So at 13, Alex and her brother moved to Mallorca, Spain to train at the Rafa Nadal Academy, and she earned a full scholarship. But getting to that point, getting good enough to even be considered for a scholarship at a facility that charges $60,000 a year required years of private coaching, international tournament travel, and a family that could pay for all of it. 13 years old, halfway around the world, because the Philippines had no path to get her where she needed to go.
Put the country on the map. After that, nearly 30 years of nothing, no majors, no top 100 rankings, no real international relevance. This is a country where basketball, boxing, and volleyball dominate. Tennis was never supposed to be the sport that produced a global star. Eala did not just end the drought. She turned a niche curiosity into a full
Filipino player Alexandra Eala was greeted by hundreds of Filipino fans during her practice session out the back of Melbourne Park this morning. Eala is number 49 in the world, and she's really captivated the hearts and minds of the Filipino community here in Melbourne after she became the first Filipino player to win a Grand Slam match at the US Open in 2025. It's fair to say that most players would have found that scene a little confronting given the number of people who swarmed her for autographs and photos after her practice session, but she took it really well. She stopped to say hi to the fans, and then she left the practice court.
Full-blown national movement, and she did it faster than almost anyone in the modern history of the sport. Most players take 4 or 5 years to climb from the 130s into the top 20. She did it in under 2. Even her junior years hinted at what was coming. She was the first Filipina to win a junior Grand Slam title and climbed to a junior world ranking of number... two. What sets her apart from most junior prodigies is that she did not stall once she turned pro. She kept climbing, year after year, until the results finally caught up to the hype that had been building since her teenage years training at the Rafael Nadal Academy in Mallorca. She comes from a family with deep roots in Philippine sports and the resources to develop a child's talent at the highest level. Alex started playing at age 4 at Valley Verde Country Club.
What is it like to be this popular everywhere around the world, even here in Washington?
No, I think the question should be rephrased. It's what it's like to be Filipino. Salamat mga kababayan. No, but I think the community here in DC is amazing. I think there was a great atmosphere for both players, and I'm really happy with my win today.
Club in Pasig City. Her grandfather, Roberto Manosa, was her first coach. He put her on the court, gave her balls, and showed up to every practice. By 12, it was clear she had outgrown everything the Philippines could offer.
Hey, Naomi. When you first burst onto the scene, you generated huge appeal and attention from Japanese fans in particular. I'm just wondering, when you see Alex Eala and the interest that she's generating from Filipino fans, I was just curious what you make of it and what it can do for women's tennis.
I mean, for me, I think it's great. Like, just now, I finished my match, and the little go-kart was taking me back, and I looked at the practice court, and it was completely full. I was like, who's practicing right now? And, well, she didn't even go on the court yet. And then I saw the Filipino flags, and I was like, but no, I think it's awesome. Like, they're so kind, too, the fans. Like, I think... she's playing late tonight, and some of them were on my court cheering for me, and I just felt really grateful. So it's so cool that she's building a new community.
At 13, she and her brother moved to Mallorca to train at the Rafa Nadal Academy on a full scholarship. Getting good enough even to be considered for a facility that charges $60,000 a year required years of private coaching, international travel, and a family that could pay for all of it.
And yes, I did. I remember watching her, her finals in the Australian Open and also in the US Open. So really a great experience to share the court with her. And I'm really happy that I was able to produce that level against her. Yeah.
13 years old, halfway around the world, because the Philippines had no path to take her where she needed to go. None of this happened in a vacuum. Behind her is a small team that includes coaches from her Nadal Academy days, an environment that had already produced multiple top 50 players before she arrived. Her support staff has had to professionalize rapidly as her results outpaced everyone's expectations. People close to the Philippine Tennis Federation described the last 18 months as a scramble, building sponsorship deals, scheduling systems, and basic logistics around a level of attention the Federation had simply never handled before. Here is a number that should stop you. Eala's pre-tournament press conference was watched online by 171,000 people. For comparison, Carlos Alcaraz's press conference for the same tournament pulled 29,000. Coco Gauff's pulled 29,000. Aryna Sabalenka's pulled 9,000. A player who was not even seeded outdrew 3 of tennis's biggest superstars combined in press conference viewership alone. In Melbourne in January, organizers put her first round match on Court 6, which holds about 1,500 people. It was not nearly enough. Security had to start clearing standing areas mid-match because the crowd overflowed walkways never designed for that kind of turnout. Some fans had been standing for hours, some without tickets at all, just hoping to hear the noise from outside the gates. Tournament staff later admitted quietly that nothing in their planning documents had accounted for a scenario like this, not for a player ranked outside the top 40. By August, nobody was surprised anymore. It had become the expectation. At the Washington final, Mark Ein, the tournament's owner and chairman, said it plainly at the trophy ceremony: "This might be the greatest crowd for a Monday final anyone had ever seen." This was not a Saturday night showcase with discounted tickets and a marketing push. It was a Monday afternoon, the kind of slot that usually draws whoever happens to be off work. Instead, the stadium was packed to the rafters with Philippine flags of every size, fans chanting, "Let's go, Alex," before nearly every service game, drowning out the usual polite tennis hush. Jessica Pegula, the player on the losing end of that final, stood at the podium afterward and said, "It's refreshing and nice to see how well she's handled all of the fandom and stardom that's come with her being from the Philippines and how they've really embraced her. It's crazy how she deals with it every single week, which just shows her maturity as a player and a person. I have a lot of respect for her. It's cool to see what she's brought to the women's game." That is not a throwaway line. That is one of the WTA's most established Americans on U.S. soil, in the capital, publicly crediting a foreign fan base for elevating her own sport in front of a crowd that was actively rooting against her. Eala herself could not hold it together when she reached the microphone. Asked what it was like to be this popular everywhere, she answered, "I think the question should be rephrased. It's what it's like to be Filipino." Off camera, Ein went further, telling reporters that at least 80% of all ticket inquiries during the entire tournament were specifically about her. That turns this from a passing viral moment into a real changing of the guard story. It is not just the fans. During that same Washington run, she beat a reigning Olympic gold medalist, a defending tournament champion, a former world number 3, and a 4-time Grand Slam winner, Naomi Osaka, in the semifinals. Afterward, Osaka was asked about the interest Eala was generating. "I think it's great," Osaka said. "I finished my match and the little go-kart was taking me back, and I looked at the practice court and it was completely full. I saw the Filipino flags. I think it's awesome. They're so kind too. It's so cool that she's building a new community." Osaka, someone who has won 4 majors and knows exactly what it is like to be the face of a sport in her own country, calling a 21-year-old ranked outside the top 20 an inspiration. Back home, this is no longer treated as a sports story. It is a national event. In July, before the Washington breakthrough, she was summoned to Malacañang Palace, where President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. personally handed her a presidential citation, one of the country's highest civilian honors, usually reserved for people with decades of achievement, given here to a 21-year-old still building her career. Manny Pacquiao, arguably the most famous Filipino athlete alive, publicly saluted her after the Washington win. "Congratulations on your victory. Thank you for bringing honor to our country. We're cheering for you. We're proud of you." When a boxing legend and a sitting president both publicly align themselves with a tennis player in a country where tennis has historically ranked below basketball, boxing, and volleyball, that is not just fandom. That is a cultural shift happening in real time. Club administrators say the grassroots shift may end up mattering more long-term than any single trophy, because it means the next Alex Eala might already be picking up a racket for the first time this year, somewhere in a country that used to produce almost no tennis talent at all. The same pattern has followed her all year. Organizers plan for a normal tournament, and a nation shows up instead. What makes this different from a typical underdog wave is that it is not fading. Every single stop this year has been bigger than the last. Melbourne was the warning shot. Washington was the proof. So what is New York shaping up to be? Probably the loudest version yet. 20 months ago, Alex Eala was ranked 131st in the world. Today, she is the most successful tennis player the Philippines has ever produced, a player Naomi Osaka calls a star, a player tournament directors are rearranging their entire logistics around, a player a sitting president felt compelled to personally honor. The US Open has hosted legends before, but has it ever had to prepare for a fan base that does not just watch a match, but turns an entire afternoon session into a national holiday? Not like this. If Melbourne was the warning and Washington was the preview, then what is about to happen in New York might just be the loudest chapter yet.